Swim, bike, run, keeping it real with Garrick, Lowen, Jackson, Laundry, and Nicholas Chase. Plus everyone's favorite host, Lisa Becker. This is the Real Triathlon Podcast. Training, racing, no filter, all hard.
Welcome back to the Real Triathlon Podcast. We have a special guest today. We have Ben Kanute, or as I like to call him, Ken Banute, because I rearranged the first letter and the last letter on every pro's name just because it makes me laugh. And we've got Lisa. So how's everyone doing?
I want to hear you pronounce Lisa's name like Bisa Lacharis.
Bisa Lacharis.
That doesn't really roll off the tongue as well as Ken Banute.
Ken Banute works. Dark Moodrick works.
Yeah, because Ken Banute is like could actually be like another person.
Yeah, your name too, Nick, is also a little bit tricky.
What is?
Your name. Like if we switch the first.
Yeah, mine doesn't work.
Yeah, that's why you do it. So nobody can do it back to you. But doing well. All right, I took you guys on a major sidetrack there already.
We're a big fan.
It.
Well,
Ben, congrats. Coming off a second place finish at 70.3, the inaugural 70.3 at Dallas Little Elm with a 300 meter swim and gale force wins on the bike. How you feeling today? We're 24 hours post race.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's pretty, I'm pulling up from the race relatively well, but the first day back is always a little bit of a trick. I think the second day, if you guys caught me, then that's the real tell for how the race actually sits in. That 2 days after, I feel like always kind of peaks out. But overall, I think I'm doing pretty well. Like it was pushing hard like the whole time and towards the end, but it wasn't, I think, digging a super deep hole because like second through fifth or so for a lot of that race was really close, at least from like the quick math with the time trial start and everything that I was doing and looking back, like we were all relatively close. And then Lionel was kind of like the few minutes up the road. So it wasn't like, I guess, completely emptying the tank. That I was kind of able to race my race a little bit, which was nice for the first race of the season, not being this absolute like dig yourself into a whole smash fest.
Yeah. It feels like with the time trial start, it kind of puts a different vibe to the whole event. You're like, well, I just know I need to not let anyone pass me, and then I'm doing all right. Like it's a different genre.
And I think I got a decent position because a lot of the top seeded guys, they ranked me like 9th, I guess. So you had like Lionel, Sam, Rudy, a lot of those guys up ahead. So I just was trying to think, okay, depending on how the bike goes, if you just keep people close. And then same thing with like the guy Yannick Schaffler, who I just beat at the line too. I was like, if I can just cross the line with him, I win. But then of course the racing took over too. And I'm like, well, I just can't do it. The time trial, I got to beat him across the line. We can't do this. I'll just finish right behind him stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the confusing part too, is because you're never 100% sure where you are. But that's the benefit of starting like in the back or like not first, because you know that everyone in front of you pass. Like I know I'm in front of you. Well, you gotta. It's like takes so much more mental energy because you're trying to do like you take a look at their number. Like I think I couldn't remember. Andreas Salvesberg was one of the guys who was like running with me, but behind me by like anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds or more. And I couldn't remember. I knew he started behind me, but I couldn't remember if it was 5, 10, 15 seconds back. So I'm like, right now we're like virtually tied, but it's so much harder sometimes to like know if you're putting a gap on him or is the gap extending. He's kind of chasing me. So like, it's hard enough when you're doing math about how many grams of carbs have I taken? Where am I placed? Like, am I closing on this gap? And then you're trying to subtract like the numbers that you started. But I will say I enjoyed actually the change that they made. Like I think that even doing 300 meters swimming, it's not a lot, but I think it gets you in the water and activates those muscles just enough to make the bike feel somewhat similar versus I've done some time trial starts on just the bike. And I think the power numbers are so much more elevated because everybody's starting off so fresh. At least getting us in the water for a few minutes, I think takes you horizontal and kind of shifts things up a little bit versus the pure bike start.
True. It seemed like that was a nice adage that they weren't like, all right, pros, sorry, you're out of luck. And you know, what I've seen in the past, which I really like is, if it might get canceled, they'll draw random numbers. And because I've always had a problem also when they just start with the top seeded guys and they're like, all right, you're number one, you're going to go first. I'm like, well, those guys are always seeded that way because they're obviously really talented and they usually can stick together a lot easier. And then that just leaves everyone. I mean, it's probably not as advantageous with the 20-meter draft, but that I wish they would randomize it a little bit more in those cases to where you get a random draw.
I think in this case, because Scott Deroux was there, but pretty much the whole Ironman team. And so they didn't really lead on that the swim could ever be canceled or adjusted, because I don't think they truly maybe understood what the wind would do to the buoys and the kayakers. Because from my understanding and talking to them, it sounded like they went through a lot of different scenarios to figure out, like, can we have a multiple lap swim? Can we do it like clockwise or counterclockwise, like do it reverse? And it just sounds like they didn't have good enough weights on the buoys for the first part to get them deep, to really get them to like stay in one position. And that they didn't have time, I think, to randomize that stuff, because that's how they always do it in Oceanside for if they're going to do it. So I actually thought at first they would start us all at once. And I'm like, this is going to be chaos, like with a 300-meter swim and everybody. It's just going to be a boxing match. But yeah, I think that it shows with the, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's the new leadership at Ironman or something, but they're starting to treat pros as this separate category where they know we can handle situations a little bit different. They gave us the 20-meter draft rule. They're getting us in the water at least. And it probably wasn't great for some of those guys who started ahead of me, who maybe you could argue there's a disadvantage in being like starting closer to the front, even with the 20-meter draft rule, especially on the second part of the loop with how windy it was. But I don't know, it still kind of gave the feel of a triathlon. And there's just so much logistically. And I think that this swim topic is pretty interesting, because I'm always one who's like, put the pros in the water, I'll sign a waiver, let's do this. But again, I've been around some of the most famous swims, like Escape from Alcatraz, the one year that they canceled it because it was a small craft advisory by the Coast Guard, and they literally couldn't put the boats and kayaks in. And then that changes the whole thing, whether we could swim in there or not. Like if you can't get safety personnel in there, it's a lot tougher. And as athletes, we're totally biased. Like, I'm going to swim even if it's a red flag warning or whatever it is. So it was definitely interesting and different, but really appreciated, I guess, the small step. I still think we have a ways to go before it's like, hey, what we can actually handle. But yeah, it was kind of, I thought it was super interesting because I've never seen that before, where they're having the pros do something different.
Yeah, it's like our sport's still pretty grassroots when it comes down to making these types of decisions. We're just like, I don't know what makes the most sense. We've got protocols, but like there's all kinds of things that could happen. So let's make it work.
And I've been in situations.
Yeah, I think it was a really good step forward.
Yeah, and I've been in situations on the opposite end. I think race directors around the world, like I've been in Mexico and different places where they're a little bit more laissez-faire about water conditions.
Yeah.
Like I've swam in the ocean when it was definitely dangerous. Like we did a race in Mazatlan when I was a junior, like 15, 16 years old. And me and my buddy were going to go out and like body surf in the waves, and this like Mexican lifeguard comes up to us, can't even speak English, and he's like going like, no, don't go in the water, like pointing at the flag showing that the beach is closed. And we had just gotten done with the race like an hour or two earlier. So a lot of it stems, I think, too, we have incidents on the bike and the run, of course, but I think they're sometimes explained away as accidents versus when something happens in the swim, it's a little bit different because it's a mistake, or it's blamed on the water or the water conditions versus, something that's maybe an accident. So that's where I think like the liability and safety part comes in, where it's just maybe a little bit more foreign to us than like the bike and the run.
Speaking of that, there was an incident at Dallas Little Elm with Carolyn Kaplan, who is a pro triathlete, and she was riding, I think it was like 10 miles into the bike, and she was actually hit by a state trooper on her bike, had to go to the ER. Thankfully, no broken bones or anything, but a lot of soft tissue damage, completely totaled bike. And I'm like, I told her, I was like, you should probably get an MRI because that stuff is like no joke and can take a long time to heal. But did you feel, I think in my experience when I'm racing, I usually feel the most unsafe on the bike, especially in a lot of these races where there's open roads to cars. I, at least just from my experience in comparison to like when have I felt the most unsafe in a swim, and that's just, I really haven't had a lot of those experiences. So I don't know, can you talk to us a little bit about your experience specifically at Dallas Little Elm, and if you felt like the car situation, the road situation was like okay?
Yes, I think with these smaller races, any race, honestly, because we've had this situation happen in Kona before during the race with Matt Russell. So this is something that has happened. And this is where I think all of the races rely on volunteers and local police and fire departments and people to come in and work a race that maybe they work once a year, or they work an event that's maybe similar. And if they haven't ever experienced a pro race, I think that how you gauge the speed on the bike is really difficult, because in Little Elm in particular, I didn't have any issues with cars on the course this time. Like I felt like really pretty good. It was more, I was focused on kind of battling the wind, and we had, motos kind of hopping around, and the cars like coned off. Like, so it wasn't necessarily like way open, but I'm also very aware of every intersection and try and see. And that's where we don't have completely closed courses. And have run into, like in Louisville last year, there's a hill coming down. So similar speeds, like I'm going 45 or 50 miles an hour. And the way they set it up was just weird, where we were on the shoulder on the right-hand side. They had cars in the middle of the road, and then people on the other right-hand side on the shoulder going out onto the course. And they didn't expect us to come up so fast. So there were cars blocking my lane. So the lead car had to stop. I had to go around the lead car in between. And so those sorts of situations they're not as rare as they should be. But I think we as pros especially have to keep our eyes open for that stuff and take safety into our own hands. And not saying that Caitlin, like there's nothing she could have done. Because from when I read her post too and saw it, it sounds like the cop was trying to go like apprehend somebody who was going through the intersection who shouldn't. And if I understood like her post correctly, and that's just where it's tough. Cause like, I guess my point of those stories are, we're moving so fast. And when you try and gauge a bike in wide open roads out where like it's open fields too, we don't look like we're moving that fast, but we're moving as faster than traffic. And you can't make those quick changes all the time. So I would say most of the time I feel fairly safe, but I also now like I totally have my head on a swivel, try and be aware and not like going, if I am going as so like super hard, like there are points in the race where I'm not maybe as aware, but yeah, I just found it. I find that that's like a common theme of like, I just don't trust any intersection with cars, whether I'm in a race or training.
It's tough. You can't really ever get away from it in the nature of our sport. It's always something, unless you race in Europe and, they do close roads a lot more. And it seems like the culture sometimes in the US when it comes to cars and, with the Kona situation with Matt Russell, somebody just decides to go, even though a volunteer is holding them, like what can you do? And I think, we have to remember we are still, as much as we're professional triathletes and we're racing and we train this lifestyle, we're still such a small percentage. We can go to every grocery store right now and people will be like, what's an Ironman? Like, I think the knowledge and understanding of what we do is still pretty elementary. So hopefully local people or local signage can get a little bit better, or I don't know. There was one race I did at Ironman Gulf Coast, I think maybe 2 years ago. They put you right on the highway, right on 98. And there was no separation. You were just on the shoulder. There was nothing between you and the bike lane and cars going 65 miles an hour. Like there's some situations where I felt like this is just super dangerous. Like I'm surprised not many people, like I think that we get pretty lucky at the end of the day, considering what we do and what we're racing in.
And I think it's just hard because like I'm now thinking of Little Elm. There was only one time, and it seems like they alerted residents for the most part. Like I homestayed with somebody who was in Denton, that's about 25 minutes away. And she was reading Facebook pages and stuff. And they were really trying to keep people aware and help them out. Like I think one of the posts was a woman who was due any day with her baby. And like, how am I going to get out of my house and do this? And so the police department was working with her for if she needed to get out. But I mean, there was an intersection, like just a random neighborhood pullout where a car was coming up, and I watched and they saw me. You can kind of make eye contact a little bit. And plus it's into a headwind at this point. So I'm maybe not going as fast as a tailwind. And the cop was up at the busier intersection, but I almost felt like I needed to say like, go help that person out to cross, because then they're left to their own devices. But I think they said at the race briefing, they had 150 to 250 police officers or something out there, like manning all of these intersections. So it's really tough. And I think it's tough to like, you can do so much as a race organization and try and explain like pros are going to look like this, age groupers are going to look like this, expect them to come 15 minutes before you think so and lock everything down. But then until you actually see and experience like the speeds that we're going, it's almost like it doesn't click as much. And if you don't do it enough, then it's just an inexperience type thing. And that's a problem that we'll always have unless you can get like this specific force of volunteers, employees, like constantly on this 56-mile loop at every intersection and that sort of thing. Or like, I think like even Nick, you're saying if we could completely close down roads, you still have that one angry person who is stuck and just needs to get out and decides to just ignore it. And then we have a course or a car on the course with us.
Yeah.
Were either of you at Indian Wells or La Quinta in 2018? Was it 2018? I think it was the first year of the event, and they had messed up the road closures. And so people in their cars were stuck where they are for like 2 or 3 hours. Like there was no way for them to like get out. And I was like, I think back to that and I'm like, wow, it must be such a nightmare to put on these races and work with all the local officials and make sure that you have these traffic patterns like ironed out so people don't actually like get stuck in these places.
Well, I've got one piece of advice and then we'll move on. And I heard this like commencement speech once in this, it was really like life-changing commencement speech, but it was basically talking about how, you know, you go to the grocery store and there's all these people in your way, and you're on the road and there's people cutting you off, and like there's always a distraction and an obstacle. But I think the perspective can also change quite a bit in like, well, let's say these people are driving a big SUV because their therapist told them, you know, in order to feel safe in a vehicle, you need to get a bigger car because you have such PTSD from getting crashed years ago. Or the person who cut you off is like going to save their child from something. You know, I think that perspective is also very good to have in being slow to anger in these cases, because, you know, we've got nothing to do but point the finger at ourselves if we're allowing ourselves to get angry or outraged based off somebody else's behavior. So I think that's the perspective I've tried to carry more in my life, especially when people cold roll me or whatever. I'm like, well, maybe they just got divorced and, you know, their kids hate them and this is the best thing of their whole day. And I'm like, all right, it's good for me. So I think that's important when it comes to trying to flow within the society and make the best out of it.
Yeah, I always try and give them a little wave or smile or something like that. You can't, it's tough sometimes. You try not to like be angry. Well, it also depends what state you're in too, because if you're angry in certain states, it's a little bit more dangerous
than others.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Utah, everybody has a gun in their car, so I'm like, it's fine. Everything is fine.
Just cold roll me. It's great. I'll take it.
Lisa, let's talk about weight. I guess overall weight as a rider, as an excuse for poor bike handling, I'm guessing. Let's talk about that.
I just want to visit this topic a little because I see after like a crazy windy race, you see a lot of athletes like talking about how they were scared on the bike or they're getting blown around all over because they're like, because I'm a lighter rider, I'm a lighter person, I'm just like getting thrown all over the road. And so I just see a lot of people referring to this.
No empathy.
And I do have empathy because I think it's scary for anyone if you're getting blown across the road. But I will guarantee you that yesterday at Texas Little Elm or Dallas Little Elm, that there's probably like a 300 or 250 pound person that was also getting blown around the road. So I just want to say it also comes back to like bike handling skills, confidence level on the bike. And I know that yesterday's conditions were probably very unique, and that everyone was getting thrown all over the road. But yes, I'm just like tired of hearing the same excuse.
I actually find it almost refreshing that it's a weight topic, because like, okay, like I'm 165 pounds. I feel like in most conditions I should be relatively okay. Like I can see if you're like 100, 115, like in your bike is like a sail. Okay. But what I always get frustrated in is when people throw around, should I run a disc or not? I'm like, well, all of your weight is over the disc. It's the front wheel that matters. The front wheel, the one that actually moves back and forth, that determines if you're going to wiggle or not. And I actually, because I saw the wind forecast, I committed to riding. I just signed with Princeton. They got the tri-spoke, so I was stoked to try it out. I'm like, these are the wheels I want to ride in Kona. And the wind almost got in my head a little bit at first, because I'm like, oh man, because I've been in Kona during a red flag warning, getting blown by like these 60-mile-per-hour gusts, seemingly like blown across the road, which is pretty frightening. But I committed to it, and I actually think like Dallas was on the high end of like when it's really windy. It was not gusty though. I did only once or twice did I feel like it was like really pretty gusty, where I had a pretty quick turn or something like that to like get like kind of battered a little bit. So I was pretty happy, like even with the super deep front wheel tri-spoke, like I felt like it was pretty good. Now I will say we got off the bike well before the wind picked up. I think there are some age groupers out there that had twice as bad wind. Like our wind was in like the 25-ish mile per hour, and I don't feel like it had like high gusts. But I was sitting in the house after the race, after I'd gotten back, and like the house was shaking. The trees were like blowing all over the place. And I was just thinking, it was like the year in St. George at Worlds where the monsoon hit and we were on the run already, but then all of the age groupers were coming down from Snow Canyon and they got the worst of it. And I was just thinking, because this race too, which kind of goes back to the swim a little bit and the decision to cancel, I think is, I was talking, it was 70% first timers for a 70.3. So that was like everybody who made it through that bike totally earned it. And I could see, and actually when they canceled the swim, there were some cheers from the age group side of the transition from some people who were happy. But I was just thinking, I'm like, man, because the wind, like at 1 p.m., it was this storm front, and then the wind would shift. And actually some people might have gotten a double tailwind. But yeah, it was just, I just think it was like absolutely wild later in the day. But I don't think any pro in those conditions, like it was tough and it wasn't easy in the crosswinds. It was blowing you a little bit, but I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit biased too, but I've ridden in Kona and stuff. And like, that was like a windy Kona day, but not like a dangerous bike day, I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
But
Lisa, what else
I
about?
I just want to know, like, what's the weight cutoff where we can blame being too light to be a sail?
I don't know. 115 to 120 pounds is pretty light, I think.
Yeah, I think though, like to your point, I think if you know how to handle the bike in the wind, I think a lot of it comes from being so tense and anticipating and trying to overcorrect. Because I mean, technically, like you look out in the San Francisco Bay and you got those little tiny single person sailboats on super windy days that aren't getting blown over, that can tip and they kind of cut through the wind. That's, and in comparison, you can also have big ass ships with sails and stuff that don't get blown over in the wind. So I think we don't get those conditions as much. And here, like I've ridden in the wind quite a bit because it's been really windy in Colorado, but there are some days where I just won't bother with it. Yeah, I just won't bother with it because it does at a certain cutoff become kind of unsafe. But I think this was I think kind of a freak thing because of the front moving in for a race like Dallas. But if you're going to Kona, like there are certain places that will have a lot of wind sometimes. And it is kind of a skill in how comfortable you are on the bike. What's your position like? How stable do you feel? It's the same way as descending, right? Like some of us would feel really uncomfortable on really technical descents. But if you practice them a lot and know how to shift your weight and go around, you just get more used to it.
I'll put on my coaching hat real fast and say, all right,
here we go.
This is what I tell everyone. I never want to hear anyone say an excuse about I didn't go out today because it was too windy or the water was too choppy. I mean, there's obviously extremes. Like I've taken people out in 2 days after a tropical storm, and they never forgot that swim as like they have power. They can control it. They are no longer fearful. And if you're not willing to put yourself in the situations that you could possibly experience on race day, hence Kona or even just a random race like this, you're missing opportunities to grow. Coach hat off.
That's what I agree. I think at the end of the day, we spend so many hours swim, biking, running, but we don't pay attention to some of these little details like the weather. Like you can get 90-degree heat, you can get 40-degree cold, you can get like hail, you can get rain.
Well,
learning how to ride your bike in the rain is something that you should also practice.
I'm tired of bottles. Everyone like I lost my nutrition. Like I'm tired of losing nutrition.
I actually,
like, tape.
I had a rubber band and I lost, thankfully it was my water bottle, but that one was the least important. But yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. I don't care when people tell what happens in the race. Like I lost a bottle or I, struggled in the wind or I cramped on the run or anything like that, because to me, that's telling your story and what happened. The worst thing is when somebody does the if then, like, oh, I did this, and if this didn't happen, then I would have won. That's like me saying if they didn't shorten the swim, like I totally could have been fighting for the win in that race. Well, it's like it doesn't matter, because when you change the race, you have to change your strategy a little bit. You change how you race. When the conditions change, you have to shift your strategy a little. It's like all how you adapt, and it's your racecraft. And I have no problem saying that, hey, like the swim was shortened. That wasn't ideal for me, but like I executed my race plan on the bike and the run really well. And that was great for me. And if I didn't,
a lot of swim hate out there.
There is, and I mean, I understand it because, I'm a swimmer. I wanted to swim. I trained for triathlon, but like, I also think there's a mindset thing that goes into this too. Like you said, like excuses are like just not fun to hear, but in context, like if it's you're like giving your race report, it's like exactly. If you can tell your story without it making it seem like if this was different, I would be world champion. Like nobody wants to hear that. Like that sort of thing is just speculation. And if I never went on the start line,
look, I wasn't prepared.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? If everybody else had a flat tire and, I didn't, I could be world champion or something. It's like every day, like, oh, it's like when you look at other race results and you're like, I could have won that race. It's like, well, cool, show up and do it. Like execution is a part of the race. And if you fail on execution, you can admit that. But yeah, just own it.
One time at Ironman 70.3 Mont Tremblant, we all got out of the swim and Lionel had a flat front tire. He still won. And he he caught us, passed us, and still won.
And you know what? He might have reported after that race, I got a flat tire and I came back and I did well. So it's not an excuse at that point. Did he say I could have won by more? No, it's like I had a front tire. It really sucked. And then I kept going. But then in the flip side, if he got a front tire and like quit, if he was like, that's on me, I'm mechanical. And we didn't hear Christian Blumenfeld say anything about his broken handlebar. Like he caught a lot of shit for that, but you didn't hear him going, that broken, if I didn't have that, I would have won, man. No, he's like, I
like him being sick or something.
I heard. I think I heard he was sick too. It's like he just deals with it, and maybe he reports on it. It gets out that he was sick. He tells a few people, and we all go, "Oh, like, dude, great execution for what you could have done. It was just something you had to deal with because we all deal with stuff. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect race. Whether you lose a bottle, get a flat, don't feel good, have wind, whatever. So, there's my rant.
Seems like there was a lot of a lot of carnage out there. I didn't realize how many like DNFs versus, actually happened until I kind of looked, but it looked like a lot of, early season rust busters and a lot of the little things getting hashed out. So that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, guys, I have a topic I want to talk about because I don't understand it.
Okay.
And it's male power on the bike. I listen to these podcasts and I just hear people throwing around numbers, and in my head, I'm like, well, if you don't ride at least 350 watts for every 70.3, you're bad. Like, is that I feel like the women, we don't do that as much. And I couldn't.
You guys, I would love if women talked about their power. It's because it's not as like sexy because they aren't big numbers. I have come to, and I spent most of my career chasing power numbers. I literally don't give a shit about power numbers. I wish I could push less power numbers for the ride. I wish I pushed 30 less watts.
Yeah, right.
There was a time where I was pushing more power and going slower than the guys who I was riding with. Like, they would end up beating me in there. So I think there's a lot of people, like you said, on podcasts or at race, like everybody's comparing power numbers. The only reason I kind of want to know is, am I more efficient than you? It should be all about how you move across the course. Like, how are you even using those numbers? Like, in the tailwind, it was a little bit more of a thing because, it's weight dependent, obviously. So if somebody's, 180 versus 150, it's going to be a little different. But we all were probably pushing very similar numbers, or if somebody's pulling away, they're pushing a lot more. But like at the end of the day, I just want to be as fast as possible and as efficient as possible. And there were a lot of guys who pushed high power numbers and then they paid for it on the run. And that's, I think guys get wrapped up in that. And that's what I did all of until last year. So in last year, I was going faster in every ride I did with significantly less power numbers overall. So it's making sure, and we're going to get into like a CDA talk here because I've been to the wind tunnel before, but it's also making sure your real world numbers match your theoretical numbers because, you push a certain amount on the trainer. Okay, cool. Can you push it outside? Then if you're going to the wind tunnel or doing aero testing, do you have a way to verify that is as close to accurate as possible outside? So I just Neil Henderson is my coach. He's worked in that space a long time. So he kind of opened my eyes and could tell me your numbers aren't matching up like when you were racing earlier. So that's where now I have this emotional disconnect from the numbers, where before I was so tied to them. Like, I need to push, 350 to be competitive at the world champs. And now it's like, no. And at altitude, I can't be tied to my power numbers because they're close to 10% less than they would be at sea level.
Yeah. I think that's interesting because I was going to ask you if Neil had anything to do with like kind of opening that perspective to you and what was the process of him kind of working with you on that? Was he just like, Ben, I need you to get from point A to point B as fast as you can, and I don't care if it takes you 310 watts or like 350 watts?
Yeah. So he basically was able to, when I started working with him, he went back and looked at my race files, and he's had experience and kind of fine tune his formulas to kind of say, okay, these were like the weather conditions. This was your speed. This was your power. Like, how does this kind of estimate your CDA? And then what do you think it is? So I would go to the wind tunnel and I would be told, oh, you're like 0.19, 0.18, 0.2, like really pretty solid numbers. Well, the wind tunnel too, like I'm pretty good at holding a position, can tuck, like you give me posture cues, I could do that. But then when I'd go out, he was estimating me more like 0.24, like way off. Because I was pushing this power. Like I kind of always, like Rudy Von Berg and I kind of have a similar career. Like we've always kind of been in the similar races and have raced against each other enough. And he shares all his numbers on Strava. So I could tell in Oceanside and different places when he would pull away from me in certain cases or certain races, he was actually pushing less power than me. And I was finishing the race with like higher numbers than him. And I would kind of scratch my head and go, well, how is he more aero than me? Like his CDA must be insane. So Neil just kind of took like his philosophy. He's worked with, time trialists, professional cyclists on the track. and just applied a lot of that to me. And so we worked on my position a bit. And I mean, I had to start kind of from ground zero because I had some back issues and stuff. But then it was like, you've got the engine, but you don't need to like wreck yourself by trying to push more and more and more. We just want to be efficient. And I've also started to get more and more into how can you use the course to like carry your speed or maintain that speed. Like you can mash power, but if you don't mash power in the right places and then recover in the right places, you're just wasting energy. So it's thinking for me more about efficiency rather than like pure power. So it's just kind of been this mind shift. And I also think it helps because just mentally when you're going and you're like, oh, like I have an off day, like whatever, like I need to push this power any day of the week, but you're not going to, because it's just, it's not always possible and you don't need that necessarily.
Your position on the new Ventum, like you're definitely stretched out much more over that front wheel than I've ever seen you on any bike. Like it's definitely looks like you're longer torso for sure.
Yeah, I have, it's been an interesting evolution because when Neil first worked, we went way up because like I was super slam before, almost like a UCI cyclist, and was able to do that for a while, but after years and years, and then also just age a little bit too, you just get stuff worn down. And so my SI was like real bad because my hip wasn't moving right. And just, so we fixed all of that stuff. And now we're kind of working our way to see like, okay, can we get a little bit faster and kind of maintain power and comfort, but then still like grab a few watts here and there. So yeah, it's definitely been an evolution. And I just think it's one of those things. It's just, we see it translating now to races a lot better, and on rides, like going out and just, you know, I don't have to hold crazy power to go really fast and that sort of thing. So it's nice to see like we put some theories into practice and they're actually like what we thought they would do, versus, you know, we go to the wind tunnel, get told a bunch of cool stuff, and then you go to the race and you're like, damn, I'm still getting dropped and I'm pushing best power.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like that 28 to 32 mile an hour mark is like the golden ticket. If you can just find a way to get yourself comfortably and effectively in that power range on most courses, like you're laughing. It's definitely where we're all headed.
Yeah, I think 2 hours and 4 hours for half and full is just the standard now. It'll vary by a little bit. Like you saw New Zealand a little slower, but I think, like, I just have this belief. I think in the next few years, whether it's this year or whenever, I still think for the guys in Kona, like 7:30 is in play, like breaking that, which is just nuts to think about.
Yeah.
That is nuts to think about.
Well, Ben, second place is a great place to start the year. Are you gonna, before we move on to pass or smash, are you going to be racing soon? What is next?
I've got Oceanside in a couple weeks, and then Ironman Texas, and that's kind of my first like building race block of the year. And then it starts to space out a little bit more to keep building. So I have my Kona slot, have my knee slot, like I've got all my slots sewn up. So it gives me a little bit more freedom to not have as much pressure going into these races within a race.
Well, you're a marketable guy right now, buddy. You just ride that wave, buddy. Keep it up. You're doing great.
Exactly. I mean, I love Oceanside. So, you know, Top Gun, all that sort of stuff. So it's, you just got to go out and send it when you're in Oceanside.
Well, we'll be there. We're going to have a large contingent and a lot of fun. We'll make sure you get on schedule so you can come hang out. We've got a house right near the finish line, right on the Strand. So we're looking to hang out if you ever want to come by.
I think I'm staying near Buccaneer Beach, and I'll be at the Zoot party on Thursday night.
Sweet.
Oh,
I'll see you guys there.
We'll see you then. It's you have to show up in a Speedo. Just see, I want you to be prepared. That's tradition.
Yeah, I mean, I know it doesn't take much for you to pop your top off, so I wouldn't be surprised if you were showing up in a Speedo.
It's a rule. I mean, it's not my rule. I'm just participating. All right, Lisa, you want to take us into some pass or smash?
Yes, pass or smash. This is where the segment of the podcast where we say something and you either give it that smash of approval or you just pass it, and you can give us zero description as to why, or you can go into as much detail as you want.
Okay.
Okay, first up, 2-hour easy ride in the warm rain.
Ooh,
It's warm rain.
pass. I've done my time in the rain right now. I'm kind of a weenie for some of that stuff. So I'm out soaking wet, the shoes, you got to dry everything off. I'm just that 2 hours I'll probably be on the trainer, garage door up, enjoying the rain and the smell of it from my garage dry.
Yeah, Lisa.
I appreciate that. I appreciate at least you're kind of semi outside. I'm gonna smash that. Even with like the extra work of like cleaning the
How heavy is
bike
the
and like
rain?
getting
Yeah.
it's a gentle what's it called? Drizzle? Gentle drizzle the whole time.
More important,
So like it's
Are you
it's
starting
raining
in
the
the
whole
rain?
time.
are you starting in the rain
Yeah,
or
that's
does
a
it
good
start
one.
10
I know
minutes
that's so hard.
Because if it starts 10 minutes
You are
after,
starting in the rain.
see, at that point, I don't know. Roads are a little slick. You got cars driving by if they're kicking up. I'm probably just taking the trainer. But if it starts after I've already got out onto the bike and I just have a rain jacket or something in my back pocket, or if it's warm enough where I don't need it, then I would smash that.
Okay.
I wouldn't turn around and go
I
home.
agree. I'm on the same answer for me, Lisa.
Oh, all right. I like it. Okay, next one. Having a conversation with your dog, and not just like, oh, like, hi, Gianna, but like, Gianna, how are you feeling today? Like, how's your hip feel? Are you hungry? What do you want to do today? You pass
all
or
do
smash?
that.
I'd smash that. Yeah.
Smash it.
My dog is trying to come into the podcast.
Okay,
and
good.
I haven't noticed my arm like jerking up every so often. He's trying to get in on the action here.
Pet me.
He's invited.
Yeah, he's right. I don't know, Tucker.
Yes.
Can you see? Oh, he's Oh,
Dogs
he's
are
gonna
the
go away. His
freaking
camera's shy.
best.
My foot is up, so he's smashing into my foot to try and get like scratches
Dogs.
any way he can.
Dogs are the best people.
Yeah.
Okay. Probiotic sodas like Olipop or I forget
Hard pass.
the other ones.
Full coat.
Pass those farty
My-
sodas.
Courtney, my wife, loves the Ollipops. I just no. Give me the real fake deal.
I hate that monk fruit sweetener they use. It's just like the worst aftertaste.
Do you think so? I think they taste good. And it's like, oh,
I
I'm
think
helping my gut biome, you know?
Nah, it tastes like
I'd
they're
rather
an
spit out a lot
off-brand.
athletic brewing.
Hey, I love my athletic brewing.
Yes, you
Love
do. We know
They
it.
actually, you get their seasonal stuff. They got some their Irish red right now too for St. Patty's Day. It hits the spot.
Oh, St. Patty's Day. Well, that's a good one, is
Yeah.
it? I
Okay.
like Ripe Pursuit is the only one I've ever enjoyed. Ripe Pursuit, the pineapple.
Is that the lemonade one?
Yeah, it might be. I don't think it might be a shandy. I think
Yeah.
it's actually like a pineapple type
Okay.
thing. But
Also,
that's
if you
it's
get-
the only one I like.
If you get their mixed drink ones too, their mocktails, those are great too. Those are really good.
Do they have a Shirley Temple one?
That's
I don't know.
those are always alcohol free.
I
Yeah.
know, but like, or dirty, non-dirty Shirley. They're so good. I just had one the other
Dirty
weekend.
Temple?
I had a
Yeah.
Shirley Temple. Okay, but question on that subject: are you, Jackson, and Justin Reality? Are you guys all beer cans? Like, is that like your
Yes.
kit?
Yeah, so mine I think is a little bit. I have a little bit of my own personality. I think in there, it's like a twist on it. You could see the Run Wild Road like on the side,
I like
and
yours
then
better
like
than
the blue.
Jackson's.
Jackson, I think from when he posted, I think he went just straight can copied paste like
Beer
on
can.
there. And I even think
Yeah.
like Justin kind of did the top half of the can and then did black shorts. So they gave us a little bit of we got it approved all through them. They gave the okay for me to do that. But yeah, I wanted to put a little panache on the can.
Ooh,
Yeah. Are you all different ones? Like,
I think
are you all different
Jackson
It's
is a
all
Run
Run
Wild as
beers?
well. I think. Yeah, they
Okay.
kept it basically
So you
like
got- you
the
got to
main
choose?
couple. They, as
Okay.
far as I know, they kind of directed it, I think, to try and keep it relatively like on brand with like their main like couple of them that they always have in stock, basically.
Okay, got
yeah.
it.
The ones
Yes.
that I never grab. I'm like, nope. I've
We-
had it
we
30
got-
times. I had that golden one 30 times. I want the right pursuit.
I want to be a pina colada when I race.
I think they
Next
have a
topic,
pretty-
Lisa.
Yeah.
Really?
I
Yeah,
think
maybe
so.
I should
Yeah.
pursue
They
the
got some good ones.
sponsorships.
Yeah.
I don't like non-alcoholic beer. I don't like beer, but I could be great in the mocktail space.
See, I like it because I do enjoy beer and the non-alcoholic. I hate drinking, like we drink so much water and so much other stuff, like sparkling water and non-alcoholic beer. I love that I can grab it anytime during the day, and I could have like a beer after a hard ride or something and just be like, hey, that scratches my itch, instead of like having an IPA or something that ends up being 7.5%. And then all of a sudden, like I'm buzzed on a Monday night and I got to put the kids down or something. I'm like, nah, I'll go with the athletic brewing for sure. Keep my sleep good and refreshed. And I could have like three of them and it doesn't matter.
Alcohol does not do me any favors anymore. I can't even touch it. I like get a hangover at 2 a.m. I'm like, I just barely sipped anything. I'm done. Get it out of here.
Wake up in a cold sweat and just hot.
Okay, guys, this is how, pass or smash. If you could do an IV during a race, like if it was legal, like if you could just like strap like your favorite sports nutrition or whatever, your maltodextrin, fructose ratio, and you literally like had it like on your back, or like on your bike or something, and you had an IV drip.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass hard.
I'm passing so hard. I'm passing so hard because one, don't need anything coming back to like Ben said he would at one time if it was possible put an IV in. So no, 100% pass. And then two, I cannot imagine having I don't even like needles that much in general, which I'll give a little rhythm plug as well, because I don't even like going to get my blood drawn. Like it's so uncomfortable for me. Like I can do it. I won't pass out or anything, but just the act of somebody sticking a needle into my arm, like I don't like moving during it. I try and stay really still and look away. So like racing with a needle in me would be just the worst experience, I feel like.
Yeah, Lisa, you forgot about that crucial part.
No, it's not a needle in you. When they put an IV in you, it's like a plastic thing.
It's a catheter.
Yeah, well, it still feels it's something inside of you. I would be thinking about that the whole race, despite like and not be able to. No, I don't think I can.
Lisa, expect a blood test, Lisa.
I also get like nauseous or like woozy, like if I'm like bleeding or like cut myself or something. But it also happens like if my wife has something happen to her, like she smashed her finger weightlifting, and she came in to show me, and her fingernail was like half off all the way, and I was like, I think we need to go to the ER. And we're driving to the ER, and we're like talking about. I'm like, can we stop talking about it for a minute? Because like I'm getting a little bit like woozy here, trying to like let her know like I just need to be okay for a minute when she's the one who's actually hurt.
Ben's weak spot. Next time we have a race and I like him,
it's gonna like
Ben, I'm bleeding profusely. Have a look. I'm just gonna like cut my arm. And like, oh my god.
But I feel like some of that is the emotional connection I have with my wife. Like I feel like if I saw you, it'd be like, damn man, that's rough. You should go to the ER, and just like keep going. Just like,
frig off, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay,
good
but
luck.
what I'm getting at is how awesome would it be if like you didn't have to like focus on eating or drinking while racing, and it just you got all the energy you needed without having to act.
I got a legal way for you to do it. Every time I've had a dog who's had diarrhea and they get dehydrated, they go to the vet and they insert like something under their skin that is like an absorbable fluid type of package, and it just absorbs over slow release over hours. That's all you need, Lisa.
Or like an NG tube. What's those? The things that go up your nose?
A nasal pharyngeal airway. Those, no, you don't want that.
Yeah, I feel like some of that stuff too. Then you're going to get some brain infection because you got maltodextrin going into your brain directly.
Lisa, bad idea. Absolutely.
How about I think a different way to phrase this? You don't ever have to eat or drink while you're racing. You still feel everything. You can still feel it. You can still feel thirsty or hungry, but you won't ever feel a bonk. And like you won't ever blow up. You're just pure fat adaptation in there just as you're running.
Just eating bacon.
So you'd smash that, right? Like you didn't have to eat or drink, the physical act of it when you were riding, you were exercising. Wouldn't it be great?
I think
That was a
so.
You'd have
long
to
way
worry about.
Would
You
you
wouldn't
not?
have to
You
worry
might not
about losing a
benefit from that.
bottle.
You get the benefit though of like the carbs touching your mouth sometimes. Like, you know how there's that mental, like you don't actually have to ingest the carbs, but you get the boost. And also I love my caffeine.
Yeah.
I just caffeine during the race, like caffeinated gel or
Ooh,
like
Ben, how many
caffeinated-
milligrams of caffeine do you take?
I counted it up because I was like the people I was staying with in my in-laws after the race. They all like were, you know, spectating is hard. They're up early, but they were all kind of napping on the couch and stuff. And I just powered through all the way. They're like, "How did you not nap?" I'm like, "Well, I probably had about 500 milligrams of caffeine today because I had 2 cups of coffee, had 100 milligrams before the start of the race, had 200 during the race." And then some Coke like on the run as well. So I'm probably pushing about 500 or so milligrams of caffeine for a half Ironman.
Yeah,
for the
that's
day.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That is
I'm
a
not
lot.
a Christian at like 800, but I'm up there.
Yeah, Europeans, they go real high. I've always noticed most Europeans, they are like nailing caffeine.
But do you think it's because they started like drinking espressos earlier? Like,
Or
when
do you
they
think
were,
they're
like,
lying?
kids? I don't know.
I think it's cultural.
Yeah.
Or they're all
All right,
lying
next
to
one.
us.
All right, this one pisses me off, but I also think it's like happens all the time. So let's say you've had a long day, you didn't plan well, you don't have any food, so you have to go wait more than 15 minutes in a drive-through for food. Would you pass or smash? It's your favorite
I
place.
mean, what's
What's
your
the
other
other
option?
option though? Go home.
Just going
and
hungry?
That's
eat?
it. Like
I mean,
like
smash.
or I don't
I'm
know,
gonna get
would,
food.
but just like
Yeah.
think about it. Like, would you like if you saw like a line of 8 to 10 cars at your favorite place and you're real hungry and you've been craving that all day, would you still be like, yeah, I can give that more than 30-minute, 18-minute time frame?
Yeah. If I've been
Yeah.
craving it all day, yeah, smash it. I'll wait.
I'll
Yeah,
still pass.
agree. You'll still pass. You'll go home and like put together something that you just hate.
Yeah. I'll have like a college type of dinner where it's just like brown. There's not much nutrition. It's all air fried.
All for 15 minutes, sitting in the car too. He doesn't even have to get
Yeah.
up and get inside. It's just sitting.
I
Yeah.
won't do it. I see people, they're having a blast in the car. Their kids are listening to me. I'm like, this is dumb. Get me out of this line. I'm having a conniption. All right. Next one. Changing your shoes, a brand new set of carbon shoes, halfway in your special needs bag during a full distance.
I'm gonna pass. I haven't done it.
Pass?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. I haven't ever done it, and I feel like if I'm changing my shoes, I've heard that tip before, which maybe in a certain situation when it's like really rainy or it's just, you know, or like if your laces break or something, could totally see it. But so far, I'll knock on wood, I haven't been in a situation where I've been praying for a new pair of shoes halfway through the marathon.
Okay. Well, just think like the foam compresses, it gets shitty. Like even at a half marathon, you see people's ankles about breaking in the carbon shoes. Like,
You think
think,
that
like,
halfway
the-
through a marathon, that your shoes are worn out?
I've seen so many people finish a half distance and their ankles are looking like they're pushing off, just
But don't you think
supinating
that's
to
the
the
mechanics
only.
of the shoe? That's just the mechanics. I don't think that's the foam wearing out, because you can wear, like, we wear super shoes and they still give us the benefit for like a couple, like 100
Laces?
miles, I feel like
Yeah,
is
but-
the break point.
Yeah, but
then-
you're still like you're getting super shoed. You're like, my super shoes are about maybe a third less super at the halfway point, so I'm gonna get 100% more super shoe.
The only thing I would
But
say is,
okay,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, don't you have like in the special needs bag? I would assume that you'd have to have these shoes in the special needs bag.
Yeah,
But don't you not get the stuff from your special needs bag back? Like, isn't that
yeah.
like
I mean, you're
Ironman-
gonna get rid of that other pair. Maybe it's like a race you've worn them once, and you're like, I'm gonna get the brand new ones out for the back half, and I'm just gonna feel that 100% super shoe.
No, I don't
Come
think the foam. I don't think the foam is that compressed. I think it's springy enough, like it's robust enough that it's like that. I think what we're seeing when people are wobbling in, I think it's the wrong, probably super shoe. Because I just did a bunch of
The wrong
testing with
shoe.
Stride as well, and I had a couple shoes like the Adidas for me. They were just not great for my stride. Like I was wobbling all over the place, wasn't super stable. Versus like even the New Balance or the Hokas, because I've been running in Hokas for years. But that's just the change, because I got in a conversation with somebody too. Sometimes some people will say like that pronation where you're collapsing because there's that really fast 10K runner like Cheptegei or something where he's got massive pronation in the Adidas. And you could argue maybe he's using the full amount of the carbon plate, but he's also just running like a 10K versus at the end of an Ironman, you want the most stable mechanical shoe for you so that you aren't wobbling around. So, and I would also argue, even if the foam is compressed a little bit, the time you're going to spend changing those shoes, I think you're not saving anything there. Like you're spending that time to change.
Okay. I like it. Lisa, did you pass or smash that?
I think I'm going to pass it. If anything, I'd want to change. I'd probably want to like fresh pair of socks or something.
Yeah. It's always an experiment I've wanted to try. I've just like never had the guts to do it. So I was just curious.
Do it in Texas. Why not?
I'll just put them there just in case. And I'll be like, just going to waste $300. Bye.
I think it'd be interesting if you changed the type of super shoe. Like you started in one and then you finished in a different one. That could be
like more of like a
fresh stimulus.
Yeah,
that's a great point. And I think that's also a thought I had, like back when the Asics or the Nike Alpha Fly, that big clunky version, it was real okay, and then it started to feel like crap, and then to go to like the Vaporfly at the end just to kind of get a little bit more lightness, like a weight reduction. I don't know.
Yeah, because I've done a bunch of testing going between different super shoes, and the feeling of all of them is so different. You could probably find this is my first half, this is my second half. I still wouldn't do it, but it'd be interesting.
He still wouldn't do it.
No.
All right. Now we're going to skip the last segment because we've already gone a lot of time. But we're going to hit real quick. What grinds my gears? This is when we just have a couple things where we're like, if this didn't happen, I'd be more stoked. Okay, so specifically, people, and this happens when you're riding a bike and it scares the shit out of you, when it's mostly kids who are just learning to drive. It's a stop sign. They may be taking a right or a left out of it. You're coming, you see everything happening, and they like look like they're never going to stop. And as they do stop, they're like nosing into the bike lane. That pisses me off more than anything, because that's like you're about to die, and then they're like, oh, I was going to stop the whole time. It's like, you didn't even look left or right. All you were just beelining to the stop sign. You stopped, and then you looked left and right. That pisses me off.
I just think anything pisses me off about drivers that when they do stuff that I can't
predict.
Yes. Yeah, that's the word.
I think
does that piss you off?
I have a low standard for drivers because I assume everybody is just dumb and they don't see what grinds my gears is when they purposely are agitated by you existing and they don't realize they're driving a several ton car that could erase you from existence. And I have 2 kids and a wife at home, and it's some random person who's just out there. I literally take 30 seconds out of their day, and then they're just like super pissed. It's like, where are you going that you're in such a hurry? And then all of a sudden you're stopped at the red light anyways, and we're rolling up together. And then it's this awkward situation of both of us staring each other down. And yeah, I hate when people are in such a rush that your existence just is a total inconvenience to them. And you're like, I'm doing literally nothing wrong. You just had to slow down for like 5 seconds to then accelerate around me.
It's the Lycra. That's all it is. It's the skin tight uniform. They're like, you can't wear that. You're not supposed, you should be wearing pants. Yeah. And I would like you.
Yeah, or I guess it extends, and I shouldn't ever read comments on social media anyways, but when there's ever something about a cyclist on there and people are like, you should use the sidewalk. I'm like, that's literally illegal. I'm not allowed to. I've done that before and I've gotten yelled at. Like, you can't do that. Like, okay, like I'm a vehicle on the road. And also that's dangerous because I'm going to end up hitting a pedestrian or something. So yeah. That stuff.
I like it. All right. The next one. Let's say you've just had a swim and you're just like in the hot tub chilling. It's just you, no big deal. It's calm. It's a little zen-like. And then there's always the old people who just come in and turn on the bubbles. They have to have the bubbles on. They can't live without the bubbles. And it's loud and you're getting splashed. I hate those bubbles. Turn them off.
Well, you can't. They can't pee in the hot tub without turning the bubbles on. So
is that why people turn the bubbles on, so they can displace their pee?
Probably.
I feel weirder about peeing in the hot tub than the pool, if I'm being honest. I feel like
there's 2 types of people. There's people who pee in the pool, and there's filthy fucking liars. There's two types of people.
Well, I just feel like if you had to choose between the hot tub and the pool, which one are you choosing?
The
pee in?
pool.
Yeah.
Probably the
Pool-
pool.
Yeah, the pool's
Doesn't
like
the
it's
hot
like a
tub just,
drop.
when you think about it, doesn't it feel weird? Like it feels a lot weirder
Yeah.
to be in a hot tub versus, I don't know. It's still chlorinated body of water, but it feels a lot
Why? Because
weirder.
it's warm.
It's warm and it's
smell.
smaller.
It's smaller.
No, that
Yeah.
doesn't really
People
grind
aren't,
my
like,
gears with the
moving around
bubbles.
their sitting.
I don't mind the
It
bubble.
doesn't grind your gears?
No, because I actually think then it's loud enough. Like if you're really tired after a swim set, you don't have to make small talk then really, because it's like loud and it's like white noise. So, but also I don't have any more outdoor hot tubs here. So there's no nature noises.
Well, then people are just like making those faces against the bubbles. They're like, ugh, and I'm like, bro, get your own hot tub and have a moment. Oh, my back.
Maybe I'm just one of those
All right.
guys who's using the jets to like loosen up. I'm the weird. We are the weird guys in the hot tubs because we're getting in Speedos and everybody
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
is, in trunks.
They're like, why don't you have legs on those pants?
Yeah, it's for mobility,
All right.
so I'm mobile.
I do the same thing in the saunas. Like I'll wear a Speedo into the sauna because people it's like a sauna cold plunge. And what happens is they have their giant pants on and they're dragging water around. It's real inefficient and it's just really messy. And I'm like, I'm shaved. The water just goes right off me and back into the cold plunge and I'm clean. And everyone else is just, I'm like, this is why you wear a Speedo.
Okay,
I
well,
will say, side note, I was gonna say it's weird when you see like there's like you, Nick. I only ever see you in like a Speedo, or Jackson. I only ever see you in a Speedo. But like when you guys actually wear like normal swim trunks, I'm like, this is weird. What are
You're
you
like-
like?
You're like, what are you guys going to go play
Weird.
football?
Why do you look so manly?
So speaking of saunas, going back and forth, like saunas, fine, whatever. There's a steam room at one of the places that I swim at, and when I was doing heat protocols before I had my sauna set up and a sauna other places, I went in the steam room. Those places gross me out. I don't think I can do a steam room anymore because it just feels so moist and it's just I don't know that everything is like the floor, everything is damp. It just feels like it is, and then it's hot, so I feel like stuff is just growing there a lot more. It's like kind of like I don't know. It's just steam rooms.
It's a bacteria-friendly environment.
Yeah, versus
like
sauna
with the
is
cedar in
dry.
a sauna, it's supposed to kill it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sauna, at least like when you see a wet ass spot and they get up, you're like, that'll evaporate. It's all good.
All
right, that's all I
sweat just stays in the steamer. I was thinking about. I'm like, this is all. I don't know what's sweat and what's water. This is not right. I need to get out. I'm like, then you start hyperventilating, and you're like, oh my god, is this the heat or is this me having a panic attack because of just the grossness of the steam room?
Yeah, the best. I think the only word that describes a steam room at a public area is the word dank. It's dank.
Yeah.
All right, that's all the grind my gears I think we have time for. Ben, do you have any that you would like to add fuel to the fire before we end?
I think just what gets me riled up, I think, is when I feel like I have stuff planned out and everything is going well, and then you get somewhere and it's like everything starts to get delayed. So whether it's like waiting on somebody else because you were going to leave at a certain time, or you got this big workout, but then, the setup and everything just takes longer. And then all of a sudden you're racing daylight or something like that. Like, I don't know, there's just one little thing that starts to set it off, and then you start to feel like rushed and that sort of stuff.
So
I gotta take a
logistics.
moment. Yeah, the logistics. When you underestimate the logistics.
Grind my gears.
Hate logistics.
Yeah. Just
Lisa,
wanna
you got any?
No, I don't have any. Don't
All
have
right. Well, those were great. Ben, thanks for hanging out and talking about not only good race stuff, good regular life stuff, but I just didn't want to ask you how many grams of carbs you took in and all the standard bullshit about your race, but we wanted you to know we still respect the hell out of you, and you're such a American dominant force. I'd love to see you back on that podium, buddy. Keep it up, and we'll see you at Oceanside. Lisa, we'll let you close out the show.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Nick, catch you later. Peace. Out.
Thanks, guys.
Out. You gotta say out, Ben.
Thanks.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out.
I got ish to do, flying through the sky in my parachute, dancing on the couch like I'm Tommy Cruise on a one-man mission trying to see